Steve Cooper, you know that guy that got Nottingham Forest promoted to the Premier League for the first time in 23 years to the hardest league in the world in unbelievable fashion, from the bottom to the top in the same season, labelled a hero, you know? What a guy. And now you got fans turning on him. Unbelievable. How fickle are football fans? Well, today I'm going to be discussing him and, more importantly, 5 things he needs to do to win back those fans that somehow have turned on him, me not being one of them in the slightest. Quick reminder, if you do enjoy this video, do me a favour, hit the like button. It's free. Takes you a millisecond, probably not even that. As well as subscribing to the channel. We're nearly at 4,000 subscribers. It doesn't cost a penny, and it's just a nice thing to do, isn't it? So please. 5 things in no particular order, starting with the fact that Lewis O'Brien must start every single match. It's common knowledge in my opinion. As soon as I saw this guy arrive, I thought, yes, he is going to be our Ghana replacement. Maybe not the same kind of player, but he'll do similar things. He'll be the one that glues that midfield together, can start attacks, and can also stop them as well. As soon as I saw him play, albeit in a friendly against Valencia, I thought, we've got a seriously good player here. He's a future England international in my opinion. And I feel he improves us dramatically. You saw that Fulham game when he came off the bench in a very, very tough situation. Again, for a second game in a row, a team that had collapsed after doing so well in the previous half, particularly against Fulham. We then go and see him come on. One player in midfield comes on, completely lifts the game, changes the mood, gets us moving forward, which I don't really think any other player truly does that too much as well as O'Brien does. Incredibly composed and clever on the ball, and I don't even really feel like he's going to make a mistake. Or if he does make a mistake, he'll make up for it. He'll win back the ball very, very quickly, and he is an incredibly exciting player in my opinion. He improves players around him, he improves the rest of the team. He's a staple. Him, along with Henderson and maybe someone like Mangala when he's fully fit, I think are staples of this team. The next issue that Cooper needs to address kind of ties into the first fact of who plays next to O'Brien, and it's changing the system. What system do we go with? Do we go with 3 in midfield? Do we go with 2 in midfield? Obviously 3 in midfield would mean we go to 4 at the back, and I think that probably would not be a bad thing at all. Again, we saw against Fulham when we did pick up towards the end, we were playing 4 at the back. A lot of that was down to O'Brien's influence. Wall came on and actually did a lot better than I think people thought he would do. So I think that would be worthwhile. I think 3 at the back completely revolutionised Forest in the Championship. It clicked immediately. Even in the first half of the season when we were getting going, we weren't as strong as what we were in the second half of the season when we were just winning games for fun. It was unbelievable. And I do like 3 at the back. It makes you more compact and a bit more safer. Got a flat back 3 with wing backs, and then you can kind of work the ball the pitch a bit differently. But in the Premier League, I don't necessarily think it's working, and maybe it's not down to the fact we're in the Prem. Maybe it's the players we have available now. They're not used to playing it, or it just doesn't work. Maybe we could go back to it at some point, but I feel it would be worthwhile switching the formation up and going to 2 centre backs. Then you've got the question of who plays at centre-back. So in the same way that midfield revolves around O'Brien, I think centre-back revolves around Niakate. I think McKenna is still an outstanding player and should not be doubted. But it's really difficult because I think Wall still has a lot to give. I think he's going to get better. I think even dropping him for half a game really G'd him up. It's what he needed, and I think it would be really harsh to take him out long term. He is the captain ultimately, but are you really going to take McKenna out? And are you really going to take Niakate out? No, you can't. I think Niakate has to be in this team for his physicality and more than anything his pace. And then it's a question of who goes next to him. Is it the captain of the club, or is it the sturdy, reliable Scott McKenna? The third problem that Cooper needs to be addressing is play Brennan Johnson on the wing. It's quite simple, whether it's 3 at the back or 2 at the back. Brennan Johnson has to be out wide. When you look at the out and out forwards, we have enough to play without Brennan being up front. We have Dennis, Awani and Surridge. Obviously, Brennan is a player that can play up front, and I feel Brennan should only really be playing as a striker during games. If we're in a situation where we want to take a forward off, or change the rest of the team up, but we don't want to take Johnson off, then you move Brennan more centrally. I think that's fine, but he shouldn't be starting every single game as striker, because you saw in these games for Wales, he's way more effective, whipping those balls into big, strong strikers like Awani or Dennis or even Surridge. Because of his incredible finishing ability, I think he deserves significantly more credit than what he gets, Sam Surridge. I get the reason why Cooper plays him up front in ways, because he scores more goals than anyone in our team, 20 odd goals for us last season. But just because he does that, I don't feel you should sacrifice him out on the wing. He can still score goals from the wings, but I feel Brennan is arguably, even though he scored all those goals, he's better setting goals up, if anything, causing problems out wide. And I think that's really the thing we need to be doing. This video has been very tactical so far. I don't really do much out and out tactical analysis, but it's something I want to do more of. And this next point is the biggest one yet. And it's a problem that I've noticed a lot. The fact that we are so exposed when it comes to the fullbacks, the wing backs, you know. Quite often the shape of the team is so disjointed, and we're seeing particularly the wing backs being nowhere near where they should be, or being completely mugged off way too easily. I've seen it in many games. Now, this one was a game that I wasn't at, obviously, or watched, but Newcastle away, first game of the season. I want you to look at Nico Williams. He should really be a little bit further right than where he is, because I think that's Joe Willock on the ball there. He is going to pass that ball to Sam Maximan or Joelinton. I believe it is Joelinton. And how on earth can Nico deal with both of them? He can't. So at the very least, he should be near one of them, a bit closer to one of them. So you look at the next picture, look. Sam Maximan's got the ball, and he still isn't particularly going to try and tackle him. And the next screenshot, obviously, Sam Maximan's played it to Joelinton, and Nico's been mugged off there. And then obviously it results in a goal. He just squares it up for Wilson, and it's a goal. It's something he can definitely improve on. He's still a young player ultimately, so I am not slating Nico Williams, okay? I think he's a brilliant player. I was buzzing when we signed him, but it is something that I think he can improve on. Now, there isn't any examples of Toffolo doing this, which is one of the reasons why I think Toffolo deserves to have another game. We'll get onto that in a moment. Look at this one against Everton. This is also Nico Williams. You're looking at our defence, Toffolo, McKenna, Cook, Worrell. There is Nico. I shouldn't have done that because I just zoomed out. Obviously, this is when we just play the ball over the top, completely mugged off the entire defence. But if you look over here, surely Nico should be here. Because obviously he wasn't going to play the ball great. He was never going to play the ball over here in this scenario. Obviously he wasn't. But if you want to try and maintain the shape of the team, Nico should not be the one going for Damari Gray. It should be one or two of the centre-backs, because Gray's central, so the centre-back should be going to him first. I get it's one-on-one, you need everyone back and kind of converging on one player, but this is a bit harsh, I won't lie. It's a bit of a harsh example, but at the same time, you're looking at the shape of the back line. It isn't quite how you'd set it up, is it? You know, Nico should be more this way, where my arrow just was. That's a bit of a harsh example, but the first one I think was a fair example. This next one though is definitely something that we need to be addressing. This is a much bigger problem. And I'm going to put a clip in of my vlog now of me pointing this out at the time. This isn't even something that I look back on in the highlight reel. We've got to be sorting out this right hand side. Perisic has been marked twice. So you look at this, Perisic is clear as day through. Perisic can either go on his own or cross a ball in for Kane when they get closer to the box. Why on earth is Nico there? You know, he should be way further right than where he is. Literally, Perisic is calling for the ball. He doesn't get it. It doesn't matter because there's still a score from it. But surely, I literally said at the time, as you would have just seen, why is no one marking Perisic? You know, that's Nico's job. And I feel that you look at the rest of the team, Worrell, McKenna, Cook is there because he initially had done a tackle, so he was never going to get back in time. And then you got Toffolo that isn't really doing anything. So it's completely disjointed, that back line. But the main issue is Nico is nowhere near where he should be. Now, the final example I've got is obviously the Fulham game. Now, this is actually starting further forward before we talk about the wing-backs. What on earth's going on? What is going on here? The formation, this is when we'd gone 2-1 down. They were about to score the third goal. You got Nico Williams here, basically in midfield. You got Freuler here where he should be. Gibbs White, okay, that's fine. Why is Bolly that far forward? And why is Yates here? It's like Yates is playing at right wing back. And I'm just confused. I'm confused. And there's no one paying attention to Harrison Reed either. And you can kind of see that Yates is trying to get something across. And people have pointed that out. I've got another clip, I think. Yes, obviously I have. You look at this. This is obviously further forward. It's another huge error. I don't know why Yates is there. Obviously, Harrison Reed is clear as day. I mentioned this in my FIFA ratings video. Go and check that out if you haven't seen it. Lodi, why on earth is he there? Why is he there? There's another screenshot before this, which I don't currently have, where obviously Lodi runs in front of McKenna. He runs towards where the cross is going to go, completely unaware that Harrison Reed, it will be in free space. And McKenna was never going to get there. That's Lodi's job. Lodi should be in front of Harrison Reed. Reed should never have been able to get that ball. So I hope you're understanding what I'm saying here. It's particular fullbacks. It's the whole defence. We have talent in this defence, but it's the way it's being worked. It's the way it's lining up. The shape of it is so often just all over the place because you're getting players just going for the same tackle. It feels like each player don't have a role which they really should have, you know. But the wing backs in particular, Nico's nowhere to be seen here because he was obviously playing in midfield for some bizarre reason. And you've also got Yates just playing here, God knows why, not actually doing anything. Bolly initially went in for a tackle, and now he's in no man's land, and he never was going to get back again because he's not quick enough to get back. And then again, when the ball has been played forward because the team is completely all over the place, Lodi just, God knows what he was trying to do. Why was he running towards Willian? Like, Willian never actually got the ball in this scenario. Reed crossed it in. You know, to Harrison Reed, strangely enough. So I just think it's a huge problem we've got to be addressing. The final problem is something that we've already really spoken about, but it's essentially finding a settled team. Get a settled team sorted as soon as possible. Now, obviously, it's a bit difficult because we're having to find the best team by playing the players. We've signed so many players. So it's going to take Cooper a bit of time to even understand who can do what. And seemingly this is what's happening right now. The reason why he keeps swapping and changing, we see in the midfields, we had Freuler and Yates against Fulham, we had Yates and Cuarte against Bournemouth, then against City we had obviously Freuler, OBrien and Yates. Spurs, we had Yates and O'Brien. Against Everton we had Yates and, no, we didn't have Yates, we had O'Brien and Mangala. Yates came back in that game. Against West Ham we had Mangala and O'Brien, obviously the best partnership in midfield. And against Newcastle we had Colback and O'Brien. So that's 5 things that I think we need to be addressing in the short term, but in general, I feel if we do those things, we should do better. Please let in the comments below what you think of my points and analysis, and what do you personally want to see change at Forest. Please, if you have enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to Rads if you're new. Let's get to 4,000 subscribers as soon as possible. It'd be fantastic, honestly, if we could do that. Because we'll be doing a reaction to the Leicester game next week, and yeah, see you very soon everyone. Thank you.